Check, check. All right. I think this is happening now. Welcome. And I'm glad that everyone could be here to the Spring Into Your Power and Midlife Summit. I'm Doris Efford, your host for this transformational event, and I'm excited that you're here. This isn't just another online summit, this is a powerful space for women to redefine what's possible. Step into their personal power and walk away with real, tangible shifts in their mindset, health, finances, and relationships. So let me know in the chat what inspired you to be here today. What are you hoping to take away from this experience? I'll be watching, and I want this to feel like a conversation, not just a broadcast. Okay. So, how you can engage with our amazing speakers. One of my favorite things about this event is that our speakers aren't just delivering wisdom and then disappearing. They are live for the most part, except for one speaker who is in a different time zone right now, so she couldn't be here live. But that is going to be tomorrow. Today, everyone will be live in the chat throughout their session. So if something sparks an idea, a question, or even an OMG, I need to hear that moment, drop it in the chat because we really want to connect with you in real time and make sure that we are making that impact. Drop a fire emoji if you're excited to interact with these incredible speakers today. Now, I know that life happens. Oh, and I just wanted to say hello to the people who are watching. I am seeing you in the comments here. Ghislaine and Coach Joyce and Coach Tabitha, welcome, welcome. Maybe you need to step away for a moment. That is totally okay. Don't stress. I'll be sending an email to everyone who registered so that you can access each topic on demand and rewatch this as often as you'd like. You'll have access to it for a week before it goes into the vault. So just know that you won't miss out on any of the magic. And if you're catching this on YouTube and thinking, wait, what if on-demand access, speaker gifts, what is this? You need to register. Head over to stressfreemethod.com/summit. Let me drop that into the chat here. And then you can sign up, and I'll keep registration open until the end of the event. But trust me, you don't want to miss out on all the incredible bonuses that our speakers have generously provided. Let's do a quick poll. Who here has already grabbed their registration? Drop a thumbs up in the chat if you have. Now, I see some fire. I see some people who are ready to get started, and that's awesome. Today's lineup is stacked with powerhouse speakers who are here to help you reclaim your power, shift your perspective, and take action toward a life that feels aligned and fulfilling. So grab your notebook, grab your beverage of choice. I was just saying mine is coffee. And if you're ready to dive in, put ready in the chat and let's get started. All right. So kicking things off with is our first speaker, which happens to be me. So in case you forgot, I'm Doris Efford, known as the Chaos Calmer, because as a life strategist and certified coach, I help women to simplify their lives and businesses so that they can finally focus on what's important. I'm the founder of Prompted Collective Coaching Services and the creator of the Stress-Free Method. This method uses my coach training along with over 25 years of experience designing personalized systems for home, offices, and life management. I know that productivity isn't about doing more, it's about doing what truly matters. Through my program, I guide clients to streamline their workload, boost efficiency, and reclaim 8 hours per week, guaranteed. So I see people are ready. Today I'm chatting about defining midlife because this stage of your life isn't about coasting to the end of your story. It's about taking charge of the narrative and making your story worth living. So here we go. I'm so excited to talk about this with you. Let's start out with a little exercise to help you shed some of the stress this week. As Taylor Swift says, let's shake it off. There's actually a lot of science behind that. When you're feeling stressed, shaking it out and then moving into a position of relaxation and safety has the ability to naturally reset your nervous system. So, as a visual, so that you can see a little bit of where this comes from, they studied the antelopes and why it was that after they were chased by some sort of predator, they would simply shake themselves and then move on to whatever it was that they were doing, probably eating or whatever other thing that might be occupying their time. They didn't sit and stew on it for days and days or longer like us humans do. They actually measured all of the biomarkers of those antelopes and saw exactly what was happening within them. And they were able to correct that extreme stress situation by shaking things off and then moving on. So, if you think about stress as being some of the energy that you might be feeling, shaking it off and expelling it does kind of make a little bit of sense. So, let's shake that off and shake off that stress and the things that have been on your mind from this whole week. So, let's start with just shaking out your hands. Just let the stress flow from your body out your fingers, dispersing it in the air, getting rid of it. If it feels a bit bigger than that, then maybe you need to let it come from your heart center or wherever it is that you're feeling it in your body. Take a moment to figure that out and then shake that whole bit out. Now, it shouldn't be shaking so hard that it hurts, but you want to do something that lets that energy leave your body. All right, let it work its way out. That's it. Wonderful. All right, so if that feels good for you, let's take a moment to get ourselves comfortable again. And I hope that everybody feels a little bit better. So, in midlife, that is the middle of your life. Of course, nobody actually knows how long any of us are going to live and what the middle actually might be. The definitions say that it's 35 to 65 years old. I'm assuming they took 50 as being the middle of your life and then split it 15 years either way. But that's just my guess. But midlife really is a range because it's not the beginning of your adulthood. It's not when you're first establishing yourself. You may be reestablishing yourself, or you may be experiencing something different in your life and a lot of unknowns, but it's not that beginning piece. And it's definitely not that ending piece. So it's somewhere in the middle. So it's very difficult to say what the actual age range is. It's that middle piece. A little bit of not knowing where you fit in kind of feels like that too, doesn't it? Getting older is something that a lot of people fear. When I discuss midlife or my age, it makes a lot of people uncomfortable. They try to make up for me, like I will say, "Oh, I'm 50." And they'll say, "Oh, well, you don't look 50." Or they try to come up with something to try to make me feel better. And I'm like, it's not a bad thing, right? This isn't a bad thing to be the age that you are. So it made me start to wonder, why are people so uncomfortable with it? We often refuse to tell our age because of that negative view of getting older or maybe even being part of midlife. And I started thinking, well, maybe it's because we've been sold this idea that midlife is a winding down period. When we have a medical problem, the doctors bring up our age and that it's what we should expect. That menopause is going to ruin our relationships and make us emotionally unstable. And we just need to accept that. Memory problems? Well, get used to it. Things are only going downhill from here. But what if midlife isn't the beginning of the end? Today we're talking about flipping the script of midlife. If your life was a book and you reach the middle, you're still in the plot building phase. Granted, this is when there's a lot of questions and conflict, but it's truly when the story gets really interesting. So, why do we treat our lives as though we're winding down? Maybe it's because we've been led to believe that by this point, the major plot points have already been decided, that the storyline is set, and all that's left to do is follow it to its conclusion. But what if that's not true? What if, instead of winding down, this is the moment to take control of the narrative? Now, let me ask you a question. Have you ever felt like you're stuck in a story that someone else wrote for you? Like you've been flipping through the pages of your life, following the plot, only to realize that it's not the story that you wanted to tell? Midlife can feel a little bit like that, like a plot twist that you never saw coming. It's the moment that you pause and ask, am I truly the main character in my own story? Is this the ending that I want? Or is it time to pick up the pen and start a new chapter? Let's be honest. Those questions can feel overwhelming. But here's the truth that I want you to take away from today. Midlife isn't a crisis, it's a crossroads. What if it is the most powerful inflection point of your life? A moment to decide on purpose what the next chapter looks like. A chance to edit out what no longer serves you, to introduce new chapters and subplots, maybe to move to a new setting or find a way to make your life resonate with who you are, to shift the storyline to one that excites you. This is your story. Why not make it a bestseller? Now, let's get real for a moment. How many of you have ever picked up a book that started slow? You're a few chapters in, wondering if it's really worth continuing. But then something changes. The story picks up, the character makes a bold move, and suddenly you can't put it down. That's the power of choice in storytelling and in life. You get to decide if your story stays stagnant or takes an exhilarating turn. That's where the shift happens. Not in doing more, not in pushing through, but in redefining the story on your terms. Here's the truth. Reinvention doesn't work if it's based on someone else's blueprint. There is no one-size-fits-all strategy. No one can tell you what your story should be. Although at times, the tension in the story is so huge, it feels like the turning point will never come. For some, that piece does feel like a crisis, and you want to have someone tell you exactly what to do. That might even work for a little while. But that's where most people get stuck. They try to follow a storyline that worked for someone else, or even their younger selves. Maybe a hack or a trick from social media. An influencer's idea on what worked. These are the 5 ways to, yeah, you get it. But you don't live that person's life, and you don't value what that person values. Your priorities aren't the same, and your circumstances are different. The only formula that works is the one that's designed for you. Instead of trying to use someone else's strategy, use that chaotic crisis feeling as a catalyst. Reinvention changes at that point from burning the book of your life and starting from scratch to taking the experiences and the wisdom and the lessons, then crafting the next chapter with purpose. Let me share a story with you. A woman I worked with, let's call her Diana. She had spent over 20 years in a career that no longer fulfilled her. She felt drained, uninspired, but terrified of making a change. I'm too old to start over, she told herself, and told me a lot of times as well. But deep down, she had a dream. She loved to make crafts, just these little tchotchkes, and she wanted to share those creations with the world. The problem was she didn't believe that she could be the creator of her own transformation. She had so many doubts and fears, things like, what will my family say? Or no one will want these things, or I'm not good enough. One was even, why would people buy handmade when they could just run out to the store? So we started working together, and we started small, right where she was, and she began to create a little bit more often. As she created more, her skills improved, and so did her confidence. Then one day she heard about a local market, and so she submitted a few pieces at the market just for fun, she said. She sold out within the first hour. That tiny spark ignited something in her. Today, she's not just creating, she's thriving, and now she's learning new skills as an entrepreneur. She would be the first person to tell you that reinvention isn't about massive leaps. It's about making small, intentional edits to your life that align with who you truly are. So think about it. The person you were at 20 had dreams and plans that fit that version of you, but you're not that person anymore. You've grown. You've evolved. Your priorities have changed. You've turned pages. You've survived plot twists and gained so much wisdom. So why should you be confined to the choices that you made back then? You get a chance to reinvent yourself, which is about stepping into the life that you choose now, not the one that you settled for years ago. And the best part, you don't even need permission. You don't need a crisis. You don't need to wait for the right time. You can start today. Let this be your catalyst, because the greatest stories aren't the ones that play it safe. They're the ones where the hero takes a risk and chooses their own destiny. Now, some of you might be thinking, yeah, that sounds great, but it's not for me, or I don't even know where to start. If you're standing at that crossroads, staring at potential options, wondering where to go next, here's the thing. I can't give you the success formula. That sounds mean, doesn't it? But the thing is it's deeply personal. What I can tell you is that it usually isn't flipping the table, quitting your job, moving across the world, or making some dramatic cinematic leap. I could work with you, or a coach could work with you, to dive deep into your soul, to define it for yourself. Perhaps you could do it with a journal, or with the help of a really close, impartial friend. Maybe this redefinition is a creative project. Maybe it's launching a business. Maybe it's learning to set boundaries. Maybe it's learning to speak up for yourself, or being okay with taking up space. What about prioritizing your own joy without guilt? The key is finding a system or a rhythm that helps you move forward, that fits your personality, your energy, and your vision. I have seen and guided people through a complete transformation of their lives, not because they followed some step-by-step blueprint, but because they discovered what works for them. And that's the magic. When you align your reinvention with who you truly are, it doesn't feel like a struggle. It feels like coming home to yourself, like alignment. So If there is no one size fits all, then what? The good news is there are a lot of tools available to help. The bad news, it takes time to figure it out. Here are a few general ideas and prompts to get you started, but again, I can't give you a blueprint for your exact circumstance, but I can give you some things that you might want to think about that might help you move into the right direction. So, number one, begin with the end in mind. For so long, we've measured success by things like money, titles, achievements. But what if success, especially at this stage, isn't about more, but it's about meaning? We are, in fact, human beings, not human doings. So if you consider what and who is important to you right now, what is the meaning of this chapter for you? Number two, edit out what's not working. What feels out of alignment? What do you dread or really drains you? Sometimes clarity starts with the delete button. What will you delete from your life? Number three, work with yourself, not against yourself. We all have unique cycles. Things like creative energy, focus, motivation, celebration, and the one we often forget, rest and recovery. What happens when you design your life around what actually works for you? Some people thrive with rigid schedules. Others need fluidity. Some need deep solitude. Others thrive in collaboration. The key is finding your rhythm and not forcing yourself into someone else's. You've heard of the square peg in the round hole, right? Didn't really end well. So think about a time when you felt completely in flow. What conditions made that possible? How often does that happen? Can you find a pattern? Number four, create micro edits. Reinvention doesn't have to be a plot twist. Small, intentional changes lead to transformations. Start with one habit, one new mindset, one bold action. Why? Because consistency beats willpower every time. It is so much easier to be consistent with one small change and build on that than to pile on something huge that you can't keep up with, or it takes too much time to recover for you to build a habit around it. Consider building a muscle. Who do you think does better? The person who consistently starts with 5 pounds and then slowly works their way up? Or the person who first day walks in and tries to arm curl 100 pounds? Chances are the one who tried to curl 100 pounds ended up needing a lot more time to recover, couldn't be consistent or build a habit, so they had to try to convince themselves to go to the gym every time to try to build that habit. But the person who started with 5 pounds and then continued to go to the gym every day to do the 5 pounds, and then added to that as they got stronger, they built the habit. They built the muscles. They recovered easier. They were able to signal their reward center in their brain for that habit, and that caused them to want to go back. That success, that dopamine hit of, look at this, I did it again today. 340 days out of this year, I've been here, right? Now, please don't take this as saying that you need to go to the gym every single day in order to build a muscle. I'm not a fitness professional, and I would suggest that you find one in order to give you the appropriate gym. I digress. Let's move on. Number 5, surround yourself with co-authors. Who is helping you write this next chapter? Having people who believe in your growth, like mentors, friends, family, coaches, people who really do believe in your growth, people who can be somewhat impartial to do what's best for you without considering themselves as part of it. That can make all the difference in the world. That is also something that a coach does because they're not involved in your everyday life. So it doesn't matter what you do, it does not impact them. They truly are on your side, right? And they are willing to have the difficult conversations with you. Having a coach can change everything. Now, I want to be honest. This journey of reinvention, it's not always easy. Our old patterns, our limiting beliefs, and our fears, they don't disappear. Just because we decide that we want to change doesn't mean that change will happen easily. And this is where having the right support can make that difference. If you think about the greatest authors, athletes, business tycoons, really any high performer, they all have people who help them redefine their vision and bring their best work to life, just like what a coach does. A coach isn't there to write your story for you. They're there to help you see possibilities, challenge old narratives that you don't realize are holding you back, and to give you the tools to craft the life that you envision. Having a coach means having someone who sees the best in you, even when you can't. It means having accountability and encouragement and a personalized approach to creating real, lasting change. It's about sustainability. And if you're serious about making midlife your time, having the right guide can be the most powerful investment in yourself. So choose a coach that resonates with you to help you create the edits and explore the potential subplots and develop with you your outlines and formatting system. Something that really works for you. You will witness a few great coaches during this summit, and if any of them feel like someone that you might want to work with, reach out and book a consultation with them or me, and I'll get you their information. And remember, just because the beginning of the chapter goes one way, it's your story. You can change it at any time. Here's what I know. Midlife isn't about fixing yourself. It's about choosing yourself. I want you to imagine for a moment a version of you who is no longer buried under expectations, indecision, or apathy. A version of you who wakes up feeling in control, clear, and excited about what's ahead. A version of you who doesn't just get through the day, but actually enjoys it. That version of you is possible. That can be your story, and she's closer than you think. You don't need to overhaul everything overnight. You just need to take the first step. The only reinvention that works is the one that's yours. You are the author of your life. And this next chapter is just you getting started with your best years still ahead. So, how do you want to define your midlife? Thank you. All right. So, looking in the comment, and it looks like that people did get some information out of that. I want to know, what is one takeaway that you're going to take from there? Let me know in the chat. Something that you've decided you want to have as part of your story. Maybe something you want to be known as, like that woman has such a strong sense of who she is, or that woman knows what she wants and goes after it. Maybe it's that woman is so kind or has great energy. What is that woman for you? Let me know in the comments. So, the key to this whole season of life is knowing yourself so you can make decisions like, what do I want this next chapter to mean? In order to help you find out a little bit more about yourself, I'm sending you a free workbook called Finding What Matters. It goes through defining your values and then using them to make decisions. This ebook, along with the other gifts from speakers, will be available from the email that I send after the summit, along with the replays for each speaker. So keep your eyes on your inbox. Make sure you check your junk mail or spam to make sure it doesn't go in there. Now, all right, so seeing as what your takeaways are in here, sounds like everyone is just downloading everything, and there's a slight delay here, so I'll check in the chat and check back in with you. Our next speaker, I'm thrilled to introduce as our guest. It is Coach Joyce Erickson. She is known as the Happiness Igniter because she sparks happiness from the inside out. Joyce is a happiness and harmony coach who draws from her own transformative experience of overcoming a mental breakdown to rediscover her true self and passions. Through her journey, she found her calling in empowering women to prioritize self-love, find balance in life transitions, and rediscover joy. Joyce's personal journey serves as a testament to the power of resilience and self-discovery in achieving inner happiness. As a true advocate for mental health, Joyce is passionate about raising awareness and supporting individuals in their mental wellness journey. Her ultimate goal is to help women to find inner happiness and have them smiling from the inside out. In this interview, we're diving into a big question. What is the cost of settling for happy enough? So many of us convince ourselves that if we're content, that's the best that we can have. Or maybe that's even all we deserve, or that we're lucky to even have that. In relationships, careers, and personal fulfillment. But what if that belief is just holding us back? Without further ado, let's hear from Joyce. Joyce, I'm so excited to explore this with you. Welcome.
Thank you.
So in your line of work, you see so many women at crossroads in midlife. So why do you think so many people settle for just being happy enough instead of reaching for something more?
I think most people at the midlife in particular are just settling at that point. Either that or they don't have time to think about not being happier, or they think that happy enough is good enough, or all that they can accomplish, or all they want to accomplish sometimes. And we forget that it's really important for us to be happy inside consistently.
Agreed. This really resonates with me because this is something that I went through and was actually the catalyst for becoming a coach. On paper, my life was great. So, I was happy enough, I guess, because, I had a great husband. I had wonderful kids who were growing up. I wasn't really fulfilled, but, I had everything I was supposed to have. So I just settled, right? And pushed
Right.
it down and didn't think about it. And it really eroded, right? And it ate away at me for years.
Exactly. And that's what it seems to do, is it seems to eat away at us. And actually, from my perspective, I lost presence, right? I lost present in my life. And that was part of the hard part for me, because anxiety ended up taking over. And that was definitely part of it. There was people telling me I'm not allowed to be happy, or you don't have to be happy all the time. And hearing that consistently, people being jealous of me being happy, just like, how could you be excellent all the time? And I'm like, I just can. It's just me, right? Um, so there's definitely a few things in there that helped with me losing my happiness from the inside out that I had really as a teenager most of the time.
Yeah, it's strange how we can evolve in that way. So the good news is that it's never too late to shift from happy enough to fully alive. So, what's the first step that a woman can take to break out of that trap?
Well, I think we need to realize that we need to recognize first that we're not happy inside. We're not truly happy. And that really takes looking into ourselves and what makes us happy and realizing that, we may have the things like you said you had, but that doesn't mean we are necessarily happy nor fulfilled. And it's so important as a person to make sure that we are fulfilling our needs first, right? So that we can carry things out there, and that you're just as value based as I am, and that's an important value right off the top of our heads. So um, we need to make sure that we're doing that, and that doesn't necessarily happen. Some people just don't believe that they deserve to be happy, and that's a sad part as well. And I see that in all kinds of age groups, in all kinds of genders, all the genders, right? And you notice those people because they don't necessarily smile the same way. They don't um, portray the energy that they need to be portraying. So that's another part of it. So some people feel guilty for being happier, like I did way back when people would say, you're not allowed to be happy, or you can't be happy all the times. Um, I shouldn't complain because I'm happy enough. People have it worse. And that's kind of like where you went with it, right? Like I have all these great things. So I should just sit down and not say anything and I'm not complain. And we're not used to being happy, or we don't know what true happiness is, right? And that's the other thing that's super, super, super important is, and that's where I come in and I help out, is I can help you recognize what your true happiness is and what being happy enough is, because they're very different, right? Um, and we're told happy enough is good enough too, right? So lots of different reasons for sure in there, and I'm sure there's many more.
Do you ever find, like it just struck me now that there seems to be a connection between purpose and happiness? Like when you're, excuse me, when you're in college, your purpose is to get through college or hopefully get a job or whatever. And when you have a straight path, I think you find happiness in pursuing that path, hopefully. But when you're in between phases, like when you leave college and are starting to find a job, or if you are in a job and you're looking to retire, or if you're a mom, maybe you're going through a different phase in your kids' lives or whatever. For me, it was when my kids were more independent and didn't need me at home all the time. Um, it seemed like everything was good so long as I had that purpose. But as soon as that purpose was put up and questioned, there was a disconnect. Do you find that with your clients?
Yeah, I definitely find that purpose is an issue, but really, a lot of people don't have the same, like their purpose could be their kids, their purpose could be um, that that type of thing, finishing school, but like what do they truly want to do? That What are they truly here for? What makes them smile from the inside? And it obviously is being a mother. At least for me, it is, and being a grandmother. But I need to have something else there. And one of the things that I've always wanted to do is to help people. That's where my passion is. That's what makes me smile. So passion does have a connect for sure. And I think people have lost passion because they've been told what they need to do. I was told at 18 years old that there's no way I could be a life coach. That's what I wanted to do. Right? That was all that I'm 58 years old now. So that was a long time ago. That was 30 years ago, right? And 30, 40 years ago, I guess. And guess where I am right now, right? Like, so it's a full circle. And times are different for sure. But when you're told that you can't, sometimes that's not a good thing as well, right? So I just followed something else, which is not really my passion.
Right. So if someone's in that point right now where, you know, they've been setting things aside and they've been happy enough, um, what do you think that it's been costing them?
Well, from experience, I can say a number of things. It's costing them their presence for sure, and being in full presence with the world, with their family, with those kinds of things. Because I think we think a lot about um, being happy and not being happy subconsciously, and sometimes it causes people all well causes people all kinds of things because what ends up happening is they end up getting addicted to something, or they could. For me, it was food, right? And still is. I'm still working on it. So there's that. Um, Sometimes it ends up costing them other jobs. Um, just it could be for me. It was anxiety. My anxiety came up really bad. Uh, and when I look at it now, it was a good thing, right? Long term. But I had to quit my job and semi-retire because at that point in time, it was my mental health was a huge issue. Yeah. So it could cause you all kinds of things without even thinking about it.
So when someone is pursuing happiness, um, what is the benefit of that? I mean, because there is a risk, right, of stopping what you're doing, what you're comfortable with, and then pursuing something that truly makes you happy.
Yeah. I,
What
I mean, to me, there was a lot of benefits. I didn't see it right away by any means of the imagination, um, because I am my own boss. I got to do what I wanted to do. So I got to see both two of my grandchildren being born, like literally being born. Without having a boss, I would not have been able to do that because I wouldn't have been able to take the time that I needed to take at that point in time to go out to the West Coast. And, um, I think it cost me some of my presence too, some of my present, I guess, um, because there's things that I don't remember like I want to, right? Um, I had a really crazy life because we've had a really crazy life because we've had four kids. Um, but I don't remember all the details that I'd like to remember. At least that's the way I feel, right? Whereas with the grandchildren, I can remember those things because I've been really present, whether it's at their place or whether it's over, video chat. I've been really present to see those particular things and enjoy them that way. So those are a couple of things. Um,
Yeah.
and they're pretty big things, really. They're pretty big things. You look at your mental health as a big thing as well. For me, it was, um, it could be just about anything that way.
I know for me, when I started doing this, I started thinking about um, what does make me happy because I'd gotten used to pushing it down and putting everyone else first
Yeah,
and making sure everyone else was happy.
yeah,
I got to a point where I didn't even know what made me happy anymore. What was my passion? Um, if someone is in that position, what might be the first thing that they could do to start rediscovering that?
Well, I think you have to do some research in the sense of decide what you really like to do. I mean, I did love working in the pet store. I love managing the pet store. I did that for over 10 years or almost 10 years. And I love working with the animals. I love working um, with my clients. I really did enjoy working with my staff. But some of the other things I really didn't like doing, those weren't my passion. So you have to figure out what's making you happy and what's not making you happy. What do you like? What don't you like? And I actually put that down on a list of likes and not likes and what made me happy and what didn't make me happy. So I kind of went down the list of these are the things I like to do, what makes me happy. These are things I don't like to do, but do any of these things make me happy? Um, Most of them didn't, if I remember correctly. And um, work with a therapist, work with some coaches, and make that decision as to what that was going to be. And it's not an easy decision to just decide to retire and leave. And it's taken me 5 years to get to the point where I'm feeling ready and able and taking the next step in my coaching, leveling up my coaching career. So it takes some time for sure, and you need that time for yourself. And that's where I would say the first thing that I would ask somebody that wants to be happier is what makes you happy, and how happy are you on a scale from 1 to 10?
Right. That would be a good exercise for anybody who's watching this, is really to think about, on a scale of 1 to 10, how happy are you? And what does 10 actually look like?
Exactly. What does 10 look like? What does it feel like? And don't, like, when you're looking at that, you want to make sure that you're not, you know, if there was no issues in the world, if money wasn't an issue, if whatever your problems are weren't your issues, what would happiness mean to you? And go from there, see where you're at.
Awesome. Well, this has been such an inspiring conversation. Before we go, I'd love to hear if someone is listening right now or watching right now and realizes that they've been settling. What's one final piece of encouragement that you'd like to give?
Um, just do something to make you happier, whether that's finding a coach like me, or whether that's going on a trip, or whether that's quitting your job. I don't recommend quitting your job because you know you have to replace that money somehow, or you have to have somebody to take care of you like I do. And so, but find out what's going to make you happier, and get rid of the stuff that's not making you happy, or you got to lift up the stuff that is making you happy, right? So there's more of a balance there, and you can start working on truly being happier. Look at the inside of yourself, and see what's going on. Make sure that you're present, and make sure that you're authentic to yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Truly, what do you want? It's not about anybody else. It's not about anything else. It's not about what other people would say. um, it's what truly makes you you.
Beautiful. And on those words, what truly makes you you. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, Joyce. I know our viewers will want to stay connected with you. So, where's the best place for them to find and connect with you?
Well, there's a couple places that you can find and connect with me. You can connect with me on Sisterhood of Impact on Facebook. You can connect with me on Instagram. So it's the Happiness Igniter. And you can also connect with me on email. It's happiness and harmony coaching 1 at gmail.com.
Fantastic. Thank you so very much.
You're welcome. Have a great day, everyone. Keep smiling.
You see what I mean about being the happiness igniter? Um, that was Joyce Erickson. And Joyce, if you'd like to drop one or any of those links in the chat, that would be wonderful for people to be able to click on them later. So, have any of you thought about your level of happiness? Comment on where you would rate your happiness on a scale of 1 to 10. And then, what would it take to be a 10? Now, that's a big question. It might even take some thinking. So feel free to comment if you'd like, but obviously only comment if you share, if you feel like sharing. If it's something too big or something that you need to think too much on, you can save that for later. But I'd love to see where people are and if they fell into some of those traps. Before I go on a little bit further here, I just want to give a shout out to one of our listeners here, one of our viewers, Elaine. I hope I pronounced that properly. Happy birthday. And I just wanted to say that and make sure that you knew that we were thinking about you and we are grateful that you chose to spend part of your birthday with us. So that's fantastic. Now, Joyce has a special resource for 10 ways to help you smile along with her discounted offer. All of this will be available in the email after the summit. So make sure that you stay tuned for that. Before we go to break, I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who's here and let you know that we will be going on a quick break, probably about 10 minutes. So go refill your drink, tend to your needs, and we'll meet back here in 10 minutes for our next speaker. That chat will stay live, so if you want to talk more about what's coming up for you right now, let's go. And I'll see you in 10. welcome everyone. I'm just coming back here from the break and you can't see me. How's that? Better? Maybe. All right, so this next speaker is a wealth of knowledge in a great many areas, and I am so grateful that she took the time to be here with us. She's letting us listen in on an interview all about what you don't speak might kill you. And that seems drastic, but after speaking with Esther and myself, I have to say she's got a point. Esther Sarlo and her team have created Mind Myself as a response to profound lack of centralized access to credible information, especially for health, from complementary, holistic, and integrative perspectives. Yes, information is everywhere on the internet, but it can be very difficult to wade through and determine what and or who can be trusted versus what is misleading or even false. Mind Myself is a trusted source for information and connection to vetted, experienced, and outstanding practitioners. Its prime directive is to help you become your own best health advocate. We want you to feel safe, seen, heard, and supported as you navigate your health journey. As the cornerstone of the game-changing health website, Esther is the catalyst for creating this beautiful space where healing, connections, and collaborations emerge. She is an entrepreneur, facilitator, speaker, and writer who is committed to making it easier for you to live and speak your most authentic life because you matter. Don't forget, Esther, I think, is here live. I haven't seen her in the chat yet, but I'm hoping she's here. If you're here, Esther, say hello in the chat. And let's go ahead and join in on this conversation.
Welcome to today's session. I'm Esther, founder and CEO of Mind Myself. And I also come to you from a background of speaking, of writing, of editing, of emceeing, of coaching people. And I've been in sales, I do music, and I'm also a foodie. So you're going to hear a variety of different things, but I come to you with this rich and varied background. And I'm thrilled to be talking to you today about what you don't speak could kill you. That's right, it might. And I have a friend here interviewing me off screen, so you'll hear a voice disembodied in the background, and he's going to be asking me questions, and then I'm going to be sharing my answers with you. So it's a bit interactive, and you can pretend you're that voice asking me questions. So let's just jump in and get started.
Thanks for having me here, Esther. I am completely baffled, though. What do you mean, what you don't say could kill you? What does that mean?
It's such a good question, because when I was thinking about this topic, what I'm really talking about is how to become your own best advocate, and particularly how to become your own best health advocate. But lots of times there's so much information out there right now that people's eyes just glaze over and go, yeah, no, I've heard it all. I've seen it all. Yes, I know I'm supposed to eat right. I'm supposed to drink water. I'm supposed to move my body. Yes, we're supposed to do all those things. But what does it mean to really advocate for ourselves? And what are the consequences if we don't? And the subtitle for this talk is, are you willing to pay the price for silence? And honestly, I'm not certain we even know that we're paying the price for silence. So what it means for me is, if I am not aware of what's going on in my body to the level that I need to be, if I'm not listening, if I'm not acting on it, then I might miss things. And if I'm in the medical system at all, some people call it a sick care system that we're in right now. I'm not going to label it quite that much because Western medicine has saved my life on more than one occasion, and I'm grateful. But if we are not fully integrated into who we are, what's happening in our bodies, and what we need, then medical practitioners are not going to be able to serve us in a way that is necessary, in a way that is desired, in a way that meets our own needs, that meets my needs. So that's what I mean about this title. You don't speak could kill you. You really need to know yourself.
Thank you. And so what does that actually look like for you? You used a phrase that I think is really interesting, to become my own best health advocate. What does that mean?
We are in a time of turmoil, in a time where I'm in British Columbia in Canada, and a time where 1/5, if not more, of our population does not have a doctor to go to. We can maybe go to an emergency room in a hospital. Maybe we can go to a walk-in clinic, but we don't have anybody that we can go to for regular care. And if we don't know, as I said before, if we're not aware of what's going on and paying attention and listening to our bodies and what the messages are, then we're not going to be able to get our needs met. So if I don't advocate for me, who's going to? Really, truly, who is going to? And when I think about that, and when I talk about this a lot because it's one of my favorite subjects. When I talk about this with other women, the whole purpose of the Mind Myself website is for women and men, anybody, women in particular who are 40s and up, because that's the time when our bodies are starting to change and shift, and we're experiencing things we have no reference points for, unless we've watched mothers or fathers go through different things in our lives, but we don't have a point of reference. And we're going to a medical doctor and they're going, yeah, there, dear, it's okay. 5 pounds of weight a year is normal. That's just what happens for women and or men when you age, and you just it's okay. And I'm tired of that. I don't think that's true, for one. And I think if we advocate for ourselves and we start to learn about the options and people who are available to help us, then we can take charge of the journey ourselves and not just wait for a white coat to tell us, yeah, there, dear. That's why I created Mind Myself. So we could have a place to go and find information and know that it's credible and that it's been researched and it's there all in one place. Because the information's everywhere. But I don't know about you, but I don't have time to chase down rabbit holes. I don't have time to go, is this person somebody I want to listen to or not? And so with Mind Myself, it's a really wonderful place for you to just go and observe and look and ask questions, and all the information is free. I'm not even asking you for anything. Just go and have a look. There are we're almost at 90 blogs right now, or podcasts right now. And we've had a number of different events over the last few years where we talked with practitioners about issues like hormones, about heart health, about cancer, about skin health, about aging, about digestion, about weight management and metabolism, so many different things. And if you go under the events section, it's all there free. So when I say become your own best health advocate, if you don't advocate for yourself, honestly, I don't think there's anyone else who can, because you know yourself best. And I'd like to share this one. I have a quote from Harvard Medicine here. Let me just find it. I have a few quick notes here. Physicians study for years. Here it is. Physicians study for years to become doctors and bring their scientific knowledge and clinical acumen to the office and to the bedside. Patients may not have those skills, but they know their own bodies, tolerance for treatment, and the manner in which they are comfortable receiving care. And that's you. You know that. You know those things. And that's what you bring as your own best health advocate.
Fantastic. Now, you mentioned earlier, and this is where I'm a little bit puzzled, because it sounds like you've leaned away from allopathic medicine and you're leaning into alternatives, whatever those might be named and called, and whatever those practitioners might be. But you have a very powerful story about how allopathic doctors actually did help you.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end of that, you even had to slide away from the allopathic stuff to see where you needed to go for the rest of your life. Can you share that story?
Absolutely. Oftentimes people ask me how I got started with myself. And about 20 years ago, I woke up one morning and I started to feel that tightness in my arm. Have you ever had that feeling? We call it in North America pins and needles, like your arm or your leg or your foot or some part of your body has gone to sleep. Well, that's what I felt like. And it lasted for a whole day. And I would massage and I'd move myself. I did my stretching. I did all the things that I thought would help it, but it wasn't going away. And by the next day, I went, I think I have to pay attention to this. I don't know. It was still bugging me. So I called my doctor's office and they said, well, you know, you're generally really healthy, so it's probably nothing, but go to the emergency just in case. Just to better safe than sorry. So I went to the emergency room, and that happened to be the day when all the computers were down. So about 6 hours later, it was nighttime, and they looked at me and said, well, it might be something, but go home, come back in the morning, we'll do an ultrasound on it. Fortunately, I did. I had a good sleep, had a nice shower, and I came back the next morning. And I went for my ultrasound, and the young woman was very pleasant. She welcomes me into the office, and she does her thing. She starts to put the gel on, and she puts the machine, and she was chatting with me, and then all of a sudden she got really quiet. And I said, what? She didn't say anything. And she put down her equipment, and she virtually ran out of the room and came back with another doctor or other medical practitioner, and they said, you have 10 inches of blood clot in your arm. And I went, what? Had no precursors, no warnings, no idea what this might be about. And suffice it to say, they had me in surgery that day and they saved my life. So I'm profoundly grateful for Western medicine. However, here was the catch. After this life-saving procedure, and I started asking my medical practitioners, why did this happen? And what can I do about it to prevent it from happening again in the future? And they said, well, don't drink, don't smoke, don't do drugs, don't be on the birth control pill because that has known clotting things that are associated with it. And, eat well. I think they kind of said that as an afterthought. And I went, but I don't do those first things, and I do eat well, and I drink water, and I exercise. So like, why no, we have no idea. But here's a blood thinner, be on it for 6 months, and then we'll talk. Maybe you should be on it for the rest of your life. But the side effect could be if you bump your arm or your knee or your toe, you could potentially die because you will have no clotting factors in your system at all. And I went, well, I don't want to do that. So it started me on this lifelong journey that in essence I'm still on, to find out some more information. Why has this happened to me? What can I do about it? So I have focused on those things that we glaze over about: eating properly, buying my food from farmers, drinking clean water, exercising my body, having a positive mental attitude, all of the things that we talk about. And I did their tests, did the medicine. I don't need to say the name now, but it was a blood thinner for about 6 months. And by the way, that whole time I was not allowed to eat anything green. Think about that. I hope they've progressed a little bit since then, but I couldn't eat salads, and I'm the salad queen. So it's been a lifelong journey, and there was no one place I could go for that information or to start even looking down that. And I spent a lot of money and I spent a lot of time and I had a lot of angst around it too. So that's another reason to visit Mind Myself, and even more to learn how to be your own best health advocate.
Well, you come back to this, be your own health advocate, and even in the context of what you had to do with allopathic medicine and what they did, which in essence saved your life, very
Yes.
cool. But a lot of stuff afterwards, you needed to put yourself into a place where you learned those things. So how do we prepare and navigate a visit to a doctor or to a healthcare practitioner, even if it's a chiropractor or somebody else? How do we do that?
So great as a question, because I don't know about you, but when I used to go to a doctor, I would just show up at the doctor's appointment and see what happened. I don't do that anymore. I do, as we talked about before, I pay attention to what's been going in my body. And maybe even I start a journal around that. So this is a really good prep. Make some notes. If you don't want to write a journal and you don't do pen and paper anymore because that's the age we live in, make some notes on your smartphone in your notes section and just jot down, when was the first time you remember that happening? How long did it happen for? Was it how intense was it? And just take a note of the things that are surrounding it. What did it feel like? So for instance, if you have a pain, is it sharp? They're going to ask you, is it sharp? Is it stabbing? Is it aching? Is it numbing? Is it tingling? Is it prickling? What is it? The more details that you can have for yourself, the better you're going to be able to describe what's happening as you get into that medical practitioner's office. So 1, awareness. 2, make some notes. 3, if you have no idea what the heck is going on, I recommend talking to a friend or a group of friends. Chances are there are other people who've gone through something similar to you. And if not, at least they'll listen and you can bounce some ideas back and forth. So those are the first 3 things. And then the next thing, when you're preparing to go into a doctor's office or a medical practitioner's office, sometimes people have what they call white coat syndrome. And we see a white coat and we think, oh, they're the expert. They know everything. They have all the answers. They're going to help me. They're going to save me. Well, they might, but they might not. And sometimes when you go in and you have that kind of thought in the back of your mind, you forget all the questions that you were going to ask, or you don't feel confident expressing what's been going on for you. So you might want to bring someone with you, maybe one of those people you talked to earlier who had a shoulder to lean on and some ears to listen, and bring them with you so that you don't get into that place of it's just them and you. There's nothing wrong with saying that. And the last thing on this, ask your questions. And don't be afraid to ask your questions of more than one practitioner. Sometimes we might get an answer that's absolutely correct the first time. We might not know that it's absolutely correct. It's really good. Even in a time when it's hard to find a doctor, it's really good to sometimes get a second opinion. And you're worth it. And it's okay to ask for a second or third opinion. So you now have some strategies to do that. And the key is to stand in your own power and to believe that you're worth it, because you are. Be clear about what you need and you want, and ask your questions, ask for help, ask for what you need. Those are the basic things to do to prepare for and then be in a doctor's appointment or other medical practitioner.
Given the thought you've put into this, because it's really good to have those bits and pieces of just jotting it down in whatever fashion to go in with those questions, because even, people have this situation where they not only think that he's a bit of a guru or she's really going to be able to handle all this, they might be so scared that their blood pressure's up or their heart rate's going. So all those things could be going on. I'm assuming something here that you can help clarify. Do you think there's a link between health and business success?
I do. I think that sometimes whenever the topic of health comes up, again, eyes glaze over often. We think we know everything and we think we've got a handle on it. But how many people do you know who are stressed? How many people do you know who love their job, love going to work every day, have a great, what they call work-life balance, manage the kids, manage the career, manage the relationship, manage all their healthy food and their workouts and all that, and don't have any stress about it? How many people do you know? I don't know very many. We live in interesting times, as the old Chinese proverb says. And we live in times where busy, 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 go, go, go. And oftentimes we don't take time for ourselves. And so as we're pursuing, especially careers, and we don't pull back and take some time, sometimes just to breathe, then I believe ultimately it will affect our careers, not only just in the long term, because we'll burn out or we'll have a stress leave, or we'll just go, go, go until we fall or have a heart attack or a brain aneurysm or whatever it is. But even in the short term, we need energy, we need stamina, we need to be able to get through our days. And if we don't pay attention to this, and here's the term again, become our own best health advocates, I honestly don't believe that we will be as successful in business as we could be.
You know what it kind of sounds and feels like is like there's a lot of information in this very short chat. It feels a bit fire hose-ish.
Yes.
So I have a question, and it's this. How would we begin what you're suggesting just today? What's the first step or two?
Well, again, we come back to the first basic step. Become aware of what's happening in your own body. And the second thing is believe that it's okay to be aware of what's happening in your own body and to listen. This is something I often say when I'm speaking to. We have lived as if we're just this, and that the body is an inconvenient receptacle that we have to clothe and give food, feed and house and nourish and hydrate and sleep. But it's so much more. It's an instrument that is a vital part of us. If I didn't say it before, body, mind, and spirit are a key thing in our whole lives. And as we listen to our body and become aware of it and believe that it's important to do so and believe that we're worth it and respect it, that is truly, truly a place to begin. And if we don't, that's the kind of behavior that will get us to the place of making mistakes or not communicating the things that we need. And those are the things that might kill us. So, and with care and compassion, when you're at a medical practitioner office, you can expect to be respected. And if you're not, then hightail it out of there. Absolutely. So what I say to people, I have a lovely story that I tell about a dog named Mabel, and she and I were sitting on this deck in the sunshine one summer morning, and all of a sudden we hear the sound of this boat in the distance. Thrum, 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 thrum. And Mabel perks up her head. She looks around, she listens, she looks over at me, and her dark chocolate brown soft fur and her pink wet nose, golden eyes, and she decides, I want that. I could see it. And she leaped up from her almost sleeping position, ran down to the dock, which is about a football field away, and leaped into the boat. And I went, wow, what if we did that? What if, as we're paying attention to our bodies or we're going about our lives, and all of a sudden we hear something, whether it's in our body or whether it's in our environment, or somebody says something, and we stop, we pay attention, and then we sit up or leap up or walk or do something, and we take massive action. Mabel's was running, but whatever yours is. And she got what she wanted, which is a boat ride. And so where to start? Maybe your massive action is doing one thing. paying attention to yourself. Maybe your one action is making an appointment with a medical practitioner. When's the last one you did? And even if you don't have a regular doctor, maybe find a massage. Oh my gosh, a massage. When's the last time you had a massage? It's one of my favorite things. Find something. Maybe it's a bath. Maybe it's a bubble bath with a glass of kombucha or something. Whatever it is, self-care is so, so vital and important. And I know that we've talked a lot about so many things today, but prioritizing your own values, prioritizing your own beliefs, prioritizing you is so, so important. And I'd like to leave you with a quote today. Maya Angelou says, as you grow older, you will discover that you have two hands, one for helping yourself and the other for helping others. And if you don't take care of yourself, if you don't become your own best health advocate, then your ability to help others will absolutely be diminished. And I want to leave you with this. At Mind Myself, we do what we do because you matter.
All right, there was some incredible wisdom there. Now, you have to agree, or do you? If what you don't speak could kill you, should you advocate for yourself, or should you give away some of that power to someone else? I really want to know what you have to say about that. Let me know in the chat. So, Esther spoke about a lot of very important things, and you can see what in a chat here what we talked about and how everyone's relating to the different pieces and things like that. And I have to say that I have my own experiences in many of these areas. I know that I've been on a health journey for a while, and I didn't want to bring notes into the doctor because, well, it might be embarrassing. So I went in and I spoke to the doctor. And when I got home, I remembered all the things that I wanted to say in my 15 minutes, but didn't say during the appointment. Kind of silly, right? So I've also had my doctor tell me that maybe the problem isn't what I thought it was. And I was so blown away. And my mind started reeling as to, okay, what could the problem be, that I forgot to ask. And so now I didn't know. So we didn't get the test taken care of. And then I left with the same prescription for the same medication that may or may not be working. I don't really know. Maybe it's a different problem. I'm making my appointment right away. Thank you, Esther. So I want to know, what are you taking away from this conversation? Because I'm going to put the Mind Myself website, or actually did put the mindmyself.com website to use. And this way I'm going to be armed with the right questions the next time I visit my doctor, and I'm bringing my journal and I'm going to evaluate it and maybe even get a second opinion. So, looking at the chat right now, we need to listen to ourselves and our intuition. Beautiful. Elaine says, wow. And Esther's here saying, most definitely advocate for yourself. And Jen thought that it was great. So fantastic. Our next speaker is Jennifer Folliet Ajla, and is attending to the people who are often forgotten, the caregivers. As a thought leader, Jennifer empowers all types of caregivers worldwide to speak their truth, empower themselves, and become catalysts of transformation and wisdom for the next generation of carers. With 26 years of experience both in caregiving and dementia, she excels in empowering caregivers to find their inner power while meeting and being met where they and their loved ones are at any given time. Jennifer also teaches caregivers how to tell their powerful story and why it's important for our combined future. Jennifer's role as founder and CEO of Dementia Care Kit and Caregiver Care Kit proves her unwavering duty and responsibility to empowering and uplifting dementia caregivers to unequivocally use best care practices for themselves and their loved one and speak their truth, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. This topic is something people don't really think about until they're in it. I mean, really in it. When they're exhausted and burning out or breaking down themselves and needing their own caregiver. So I want to make sure that everyone listens to this one and really thinks about this, whether you've been impacted by this now or later. There will be a time where this may come into play, and I really want you to have yourself armed with information. Over to you, Jennifer.
Hello, my name is Jennifer Follier-Dojla, and I am the founder of Caregiver Care Kit and Dementia Care Kit. Caregiver Care Kit is a place where all caregivers of loved ones, whether they're children or your spouse or your parents, anyone who is a caregiver of any different types of illnesses and diagnoses, can come and find rest and relaxation and some teaching, education, support, and the ability to vent in their caregiving journey. Dementia Care Kit is a place where caregivers with loved ones that have dementia and all types of dementia, there's over 200 types of dementia, can come and find all of the same things as in Caregiver Care Kit, but we also unravel the mysteries of dementia and what type of a different journey you're on. So all caregivers are welcome to reach out, whether it's just in general caregiving or in specific like dementia caregiving. We provide a safe, secure place to bring all your questions, all your worries and thoughts, and hopefully in turn, we will be able to provide you with some answers, quiet your mind, de-stress your body, and find some kind of peace on your journey. So a little bit about me. I have 27 years of personal caregiving experience. I am a former social worker. I worked with children in child welfare, and I worked as a fetal alcohol spectrum disorder trainer, usually in high schools. But then I had children, and my children have special needs. So I have 2 children that I adopted, and I wanted a 3rd child. So I was blessed to have a 19-year-old come into our lives, kind of, when everybody else was moving on. So I have 2 with autism, and I have 1 with FASD. So when my children were born, I found it very difficult to work full-time as a social worker and then come home and bring my best game to the table with my own children and their disabilities and their appointments. And so I left social work and I became a full-time mom. So my children are very different. They are very polar opposite, and they had very different needs. And they still do. They are now young adults. And 2 out of the 3 are still at home. So it's been an amazing journey, but a very difficult journey at the same time. During all this time, when my children were teenagers, my dad was diagnosed with dementia. And there's a story that goes along with that. And that's how I actually ended up specializing in dementia. But I have, over my 27 years, a lot of experience with multiple pieces to this journey. And so when you're at midlife, a lot of different things come into play. And that's what I'd really like to speak to you today about the fact that a lot of women, most women, have full-time jobs because we tended to have children later in life. We, in our midlife, tend to have teenagers at home. Some of us have little children at home. And all the pressures that are on a woman to care for her children, work, keep a home, all the outside pressures, certainly at this time, economic pressures, and the world is changing, and educational systems are changing, and so forth, really are hard on a woman in midlife. But that's not the only thing that's going on. This time of your life, you're in perimenopause, or you might even be in menopause. And a lot of people don't want to talk about that. And that's not specifically what I'm going to talk about today. But I really want people to understand that that time of a woman's life brings on added issues or added differences in a woman's life. You may have children at home and you feel like you just want to get back to doing something for yourself. This is a really common thing with caregivers is, where is my life? Where is my time? Why does my time need to be spent in A, B, or C? And it's a very difficult time, but it doesn't have to be. It's dependent on the amount of support that you have in your life. But everybody's so busy. So it really doesn't matter what type of caregiver you are. The first piece of advice that we give people that are talking to us about caregiving and the struggles they're having is make sure you have support. Make sure it doesn't matter whether it's a friend or whether it's a group or a support group or a group like we have, groups that deal with all the little questions and all the little worries and all the stress that goes on in a caregiver's life. One of the things that people so often say to me is, please don't tell me to breathe. So I'm not going to tell you to breathe, but I'm going to tell you why breathing is important. When we are in a state of crisis, or when we are in a state of overwhelm, where the weight on our shoulders is very heavy to carry, we automatically go into shallow breathing. Shallow breathing keeps us alive, but it doesn't allow our sympathetic nervous system to stay calm. When you're under a lot of stress, when you've got all the burdens on your shoulders, your body instantly adds adrenaline and cortisol. So when somebody tells you to take a deep breath, when somebody tells you to say, hey, breathe, they're not telling you because they want you to do the 5 steps of how you should breathe properly. They're recognizing that you're breathing from here when you should be breathing from down here. Because when you take that deep breath, it allows the cortisol and the adrenaline to flow in a different pattern, and it allows you to reduce the stress to your nervous system. When we're in crisis, we don't even breathe from up here. We breathe from here. Those short little breaths. You don't even realize you're doing it. But because your mind is swirling and your body is like on guard, you're not stopping to realize that you need to take a deep breath because your nervous system is on guard. And that's why people tell you to breathe. So I'm going to tell you a very short little story about breathing. When my dad passed away, there was multiple things going on at the time. My mom was just going in to have major back surgery, and my dad passed. And when I got to my mom's city, I really wasn't prepared for what was coming. So I did what I do best. I'm a doer. I didn't stop to think about myself. I just got on the ball, started preparing for what needed to be done for my dad. And it ended up that we couldn't have his funeral due to fires in the area for 3 weeks. My mom had back surgery in between. I had to start tying up my dad's life. My kids were with me. They have certain needs that had to be attended to. It was a very high stress time. And it wasn't until I walked out of the church from my dad's funeral and took a deep breath that I realized I had been holding my breath, not like as if you were going underwater, but literally breathing from up here for 3 solid weeks. Why do I tell you that story? Because 4 months later, when I wasn't feeling all that great, I had a doctor tell me that, you know what, you're having some health challenges. And when we started to dissect the last 2 years of my life, it was that really, I'd been holding my breath the whole time. I wasn't allowing my body to have the oxygen come in and to have the de-stress and to have my nervous system stop for 2 years straight. And so I just want to remind you, I'm not going to tell you to breathe, but I'm going to remind you that when you're stressed, when everything is going 20 different directions, when your body is tight and your mind is swirling, remind yourself, don't let me breathe from up here. Don't even let me breathe from here. Just give me 5 minutes to myself where I can just go somewhere and take a few huge gulps of air so that your body can do for you what it needs to do for you. So midlife is a time of big changes. We talk about this in dementia because they're the sandwich generation, along with other different things that caregivers do where they're stuck between their children and their parents or their spouse. But you have all these other things going on in your life. And then you have your own needs and wants that are going on in your life. So from a caregiving perspective, you have to kind of stop and put things in priority. For some of you, your children are leaving home and you have to deal with the empty nest. For some of you, that's an easy transition because you just want to focus on your work. But if you have children at home and you have a parent or a spouse that is not well, and you're still working, and you're going through perimenopause or menopause, and your hormones are doing their own thing, as they will do, you need to find a center for yourself. So we often coach or speak with people to help them understand, and this was something I didn't understand while I was caregiving, We help them understand that you need to meet people where they're at. And one of those people is you. So the first thing that I would tell you is that if you have somebody you are caregiving, be it a child, be it a spouse, be it a parent, be it a friend, you need to attend to their needs. Absolutely. But then you need to carve out space and time, however that might look like. And we have a lot of different ways to do that for people, whether it be 5 minutes or whether it be a weekend away. We have ways to do this for people. You need to meet yourself where you are at, and you need to be honest with yourself, because a lot of us believe that we can do it all and that we can go on forever and not have to worry about it. But I'm here to tell you that there are health consequences that come with that kind of thinking. And unfortunately, you don't know that that's coming until a doctor says to you, we have problems here. And what that does is it takes away from your growth and your ability to do the things that you want instead of the things you need to do in your later life. Because now you have to attend all these things for yourself because you have no choice. So I really try to impress upon caregivers that they're doing a fantastic job. They're doing everything for the people that they love. But one of the peoples that they need to love most is themselves. I grew up that caregiving and taking care of yourself was non-negotiable. You cared for others first. That was what your service to life was. And taking care of yourself was selfish. And it's not selfish. It's not selfish at all. You need to fill your own cup before you can actually fill somebody else's cup. And some caregivers have like really high needs children, and other caregivers have really high needs spouses or parents, and it's really difficult to figure out the care plan so that you have time for yourself. And that's part of what we do, is we help you to figure out how to carve out space and time for yourself so that you can deal with the things that are going on in your body, whether it be hormones, whether it be, um, eating on the run, whether it be having to be up at night because you have a spouse or a parent that is up at night. All of those things. But then there's also the needs that you have and the wants and the dreams that you feel slipping through your fingers as you age. Maybe you want to travel. Maybe you've always wanted to paint. Maybe you've wanted to learn how to do a type of dance or ballet. It doesn't matter what the need is. It's something that you've dreamt about. It's something that you wanted to do. It's something that maybe you look towards your retirement and go, I'm going to have time. I'm going to have just myself or myself and my husband. And you've got dreams. And you shouldn't have to put those dreams down. You shouldn't have to put those dreams down. So figuring out a plan that allows you to take care of whom you need to take care of, to take care of yourself, and to still have your dreams. That's the most important thing. Filling up your cup. Maybe you take a date night for yourself, but that's one of the very first things. Make sure the person you're caring for is cared for. Somebody's there for them, that their needs are being met. While you are carving out time for yourself to do the things you want to do the things you need to do, and I'm not talking about the grocery list. Sometimes, well, most of the time, almost always the time, those things need support and other people to help you. And you do not need to feel guilty about that because you are one person taking care of more than one person. So we help you figure out all of those things. We figure out, where you're at, where your loved one is at, where this is going, and how we can build self-care time into your world that you don't have to worry about, that you can just go and do. So those pieces of midlife, when everything is coming together and everybody is scrambling, can be figured out with a plan. But there's one other thing that I really want to speak to that is actually more worldly than just caregiving, but certainly affects people who are caregiving. And that's the bigger world we're in right now. And I get to speak today while we're enduring economic crisis, we're enduring trade wars, we're enduring a lot of uncertainty in our future. We don't really know where all of this is going. And that adds a whole different layer of stress upon the caregiver and the family. So, meet the person that you are caregiving where they're at, what they need, and who can help. Meet yourself where you are at, what you need, what you want, and what you dream of. And we can help. We can help do that. But the third thing is, it's a lot less stressful when we meet the outside world where the outside world is at. We have to understand that everybody is under stress. We have to understand that we are not the only ones under stress. And so when you meet somebody who is having a bad day, remember that a few kind words can make that go so much farther because you don't actually know what's going on in their lives. When people give you kind words, just accept them with a thank you because they don't know what you're going through. And when you run into somebody that has really different ideas than you do and is really angry, just be kind, just smile, and just walk away because you don't need that added stress. Everybody's in this game together. And I am certainly here to help caregivers in whatever they are caregiving for. And people that have dementia, I'm here for them too. And I really want to thank you for your time today to come and watch me here. I want to thank Doris for inviting me to come and speak. And I want to wish you the best of luck, all the kindness in the world, and a lot of just peace and calm in your life. I believe that no woman or man should ever have to walk this journey alone. We are not alone. There are a lot of people out there to help and support. You are always welcome at my doors, and I will support and help you in the best way that I can. We have lots of different things. that we can offer to you. But you are always welcome here. And our goal is to walk with you on these journeys. Our goal is to help you find rest and peace and de-stress and quiet your mind. So if you need us, you will know where to find us. I will leave information below where we can be reached and our website. And I just wish you all the best in your life because you deserve that. Every moment of it you deserve. We also will have a free gift for you underneath this recording. And best of luck. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Jennifer. As you can tell from her presentation, this is something that is very close to her heart. She's giving you her caregiver's communication book. It's a fabulous tool to communicate with doctors, home care, family, and any other people who might be involved in your loved one's life. It's a good place to keep information current and ask questions, or if something comes up from someone else, they can put a question in there that you can ask the doctor when you go there, or whatever the case may be. I will send it all to you in the email tomorrow. And I'm going to give you a little bit of homework today because Jennifer was the last presentation. We were supposed to have a DT come in and teach us about emotional healing. Unfortunately, sometimes life gets in the way. And as you heard here, we need to take care of ourselves first. So she backed out and is unavailable for this time around, but we will try to get her for the next summit for sure. And back to the homework. So I know you thought you were going to get away with it, right? Because, it's Saturday and stuff, but we're going to give you that homework. And take a moment to write a text or a letter to someone that you know who is caring for a loved one. Reach out to offer your support. And if you are the caregiver, use that text or reach out and ask for support. You are not bothering anyone, I promise you. You deserve it, and a friend is often looking for a way to support you, but they just don't know how. They don't know how to ask you. They don't know how to bring it up. They don't want to add to your stress. Give them that way. Tell them, hey, you know what? I am exhausted. Would you please bring over some supper tonight? Or, hey, you know what? I need a break. Can you come over for 5 or 10 minutes so I can go for a walk by myself? Something like that. Any little thing that you need help with, make sure that you reach out. And of course, if you need more tips and tricks, Jen will be leaving her link here in the chat and we can go ahead and go forward with that. Some great comments here in the chat, and it looks like people are really taking away a lot of things with this and that it really hit home. So that is wonderful. Can't believe that we are at the end of day 1 of this summit. Each of these speakers will resonate with different people in different ways. I want to know which speaker has resonated with you the most so far. Was it me in defining your next chapter? Or maybe it was Joyce talking about the cost of being happy enough? Perhaps it was Esther's conversation on being your own health advocate. Or maybe it was Jennifer's presentation on caring for the caregiver. Let me know in the comments what is resonating. Maybe it was the bits and pieces of all of them or an overarching theme. Let me know if you're making connections or how things are going. We are back at the same time tomorrow to talk to 5 of the speakers. We have Embracing Unconditional Self-Love with Kel Karuna, formerly known as Cal. Legal Services You Didn't Know You Needed with Cheryl Scott. Maria Kay's presentation on the relationship link to longevity. Sarah Rajkumar's Leadership with Love. And Tabitha Moore's Energetics of Money. So tune in tomorrow. If you don't already have the link, one will be sent to you today. And if you know someone who might benefit from these discussions, get them to register at stressfreemethod.com/summit so they can access all of the recordings and tune into tomorrow live, as well as getting all of the gifts from the speakers. So you have your homework in sending that message to support someone or seek support. With that, have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow.